to player ratings, and let's start off with Vicario. 5s all round for Big Vic. I mean, not much in there for Big Vic. He 2 shots on target for West Ham. One was a sloppy error from him, let it go through his legs. The second one was a really good save with a one-handed save from the Bowen header. Apart from that, I thought his playing out the back was frightening the hell out of me, to be honest. But yeah, not much in it apart from that.
Yeah, wasn't great again, to be fair, I have to say. I don't think he had a massive stinker like he did against Forest and Wolves and maybe Liverpool. But I think wasn't much better either. It wasn't like he was a return to form. He did make one great save, but I think other than that, the goal we conceded has to be doing better with it. Very weak, getting beaten in your near post. And as you say, I thought, again, Big getting put under pressure when he's passing and he passes out of play too much and he makes mistakes. And I think happened again yesterday. So still quite worrying, I have to say.
Yeah. Archie Gray, Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. I felt like with Archie, yeah, it was a bit of a surprise to see him at right back. I thought he would have persisted with him in midfield. But, you know, he had a big task on his hands coming up against Mohamed Kudus. And I thought, you know, as the game wore on, he was struggling more and more. There are a couple of nice moments that we saw him driving in midfield, good dribbling ability on show. I felt like his passing out the back, you know, his long passes was wayward for the most part. But yeah, I thought it was, you know, it was better than what we saw at Liverpool from him in midfield, but still not great.
Yeah, I think at times in the first half he was competing well up against Kudus, but it's just not the kind of very confident, composed Archie we saw earlier in the season. He's kind of playing within himself. I felt on the ball way too often. He's kind of just passing it forward aimlessly with very little kind of composure. We don't really see those charges forward as much as we used to as well from him. And defensively, I think by and large, I think he had a fine game against Kudus by and large, but definitely a couple of moments, especially in the second half, where Kudus had the beating of him, and we got lucky he just didn't make the most of it. But look, it didn't have a stinker, but it just, you know, wasn't great.
Kevin Danso up next. Him gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. Definitely our strongest player in the back line over the course of the 90 minutes, that's for sure. I thought aerially dominant, really physical, was good to see against, you know, a pretty physical Fulkrig and West Ham front line. You got to say that. I just was really frustrated with his playing out the back, because there was a number of times where when we play out the back, you know, you need to get it right from the defence moving into the midfield, and I thought more times than not he got it wrong.
Yeah, I think probably our best player on the day, I would say. And I think he was kind of, at times, kind of the one in that back line, just being very proactive, looking to win the ball back, looking to get Tottenham on the front foot. And I think he was doing quite a good job in a lot of those aspects. But on the ball, just getting his... I think there were some good passes. I remember a few directly into Richarlison's feet, which he did get right. But again, he just has this tendency to overhit his passes consistently. And that is a really frustrating thing to happen, especially when you're a player like Danso, who's not afraid to step into midfield. He's not afraid to attack the space. And when he does the hard part, getting into those areas, and then he'll just overhit his pass and go straight out of play, and all that good work comes undone. So he needs to be doing better in those moments.
Jed Spence up next. Him gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I mean, with Jed, I felt for the opening 70 minutes of the game, it just felt like he didn't want to be there. I don't know what it was. It was just a bit of a lazy attitude, a bit lethargic from him. Defensively, I thought, you know, he's got to be doing better for the goal that we conceded. Not aggressive enough as well. I don't think he was winning his duels on the day. But when Mikey Moore came on, he definitely came to life and definitely improved, and you started seeing marauding down that left-hand side and some really good link-up with Mikey. But for the first 70, I was actually really disappointed with him.
Yeah, I don't think it was a great game from him for a lot of it. I think, yeah, the goal should be closing down should be closing down Wan-Bissaka, just allowing Wan-Bissaka all the time in the world to kind of play it through to Jarrod Bowen, who obviously got the goal. And yeah, I think at times in that first half, he had the ball and he was surrounded by a few West Ham players, and he didn't do a great job clearing it or dealing with that situation. So, and he also wasn't really getting forward too much, wasn't linking up with Tell too much. I did think in the second half it was a lot better overall, even before Mikey came on, but especially after Mikey came on. Much more of a threat, getting into much better areas, and he was unfortunate that Well, I guess he's partly to blame as well, because I think his delivery could have been a bit better, but I think he was unfortunate that, considering a lot of the positions he took up, didn't make the most out of them. And I thought they struggled to contain him at times in that second half. So much better second half and linked up really well with Mikey Moore. So yeah, I gave him a 6.
Ben Davies, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. Again, like for the goal, he was really poor, Ben, and he's got to be doing better. But apart from that, you know, defensively, he was okay. But again, like his ability on the ball was just really limited, and he was just losing the ball consistently. A bit similar to Danso. So yeah, look, there's not much in there to talk about from Ben Davies, but it was okay.
Yeah, I think it was an average performance again. But as you say, the goal got to be tracking Bowen, got to be making sure you're making it hard for him and not giving him all that time to score. But I think overall dealt with most of what came his way. I don't think he was as proactive as Danso was, but I think maybe that was by design. But yeah, I think it was just average.
Pape, 5s all round for Pape Matar Sarr. Again, like it's pretty much copy and paste for Sarr's performances over the recent months, or pretty much all season, where a lot of energy in the midfield with not doing really too much with it. I felt in the first half he was pretty much anonymous. I did think he improved a little bit in the second half, and he did have that shot. Someone had to take a shot and ask some sort of question. Obviously, it went wide, but yeah, I am starting to worry a bit with Sarr because he's really had a bad season.
I think, yeah, first half, he was pretty anonymous, didn't really do much, and was kind of just a bit of a passenger. But I felt second half he was a bit better. He was starting to win a few challenges in better areas, and he was starting to get a lot more involved. And I think he was doing a lot better job for the team in that second half. So don't think it was amazing, but it was decent. And that effort was, yeah, just whisked over the bar, didn't it? It was a decent effort, but yeah, it wasn't exactly a great performance from him, it's fair to say. And yeah, he hasn't been in great form.
Yeah, Bissouma up next. He was probably our best in the midfield 3. Still not great though. 6s all round from him. Very up and down performance. Was losing the ball in silly situations, but then again, he was the one that was kind of getting the ball on the half turn and driving a little bit and being a bit more aggressive than maybe what Pape was in the middle. So yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, I think some good moments defensively, some decent covering, but I think on the ball, it's very sloppy a lot of the time. Just when the ball comes to him, he's just passing it astray, and you don't really see any real reaction. And yeah, it's just quite frustrating. But I think off the ball, I thought that I saw some good stuff from him.
Dejan Kulusevski up next. 5s all round for Decky. And yeah, it wasn't a great performance from an offensive point of view, but I felt like he was getting himself involved in a lot of duels and fouls and scraps on the pitch. You know, the stats say he contested 20 ground duels, and that's like, we haven't seen that with Decky for a long time, because we saw at the tail end just before his injury. We noticed it, didn't we? And we kept saying, look, this ain't Decky if he ain't getting himself involved in like 20 plus duels. He definitely did that in this game. He brought 5 fouls on the day. He also gave away 4 fouls on the day. So he was definitely getting himself in and amongst it, and in terms of the stop-start nature of the game. But I want to see more from Decky in terms of from an offensive point of view, because I don't think he impacted much at all.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to really analyse the game apart from saying he was just not great, both on and off the ball. Like, and again, I think there were moments where he protected the ball quite well, but a lot of moments where he was just hanging on to it way too long, and giving the ball away and being shoved off the ball. And when he gets into the final third, at the beginning of the season, he was making much better decisions about what to do and better execution. Right now, he's doing very little. He's not creating many chances. He's not creating for his teammates. He's not getting shots on goal. It's not great from him.
Do you think it's the decision making or more the execution? Because you mentioned both there, but I think it's more the execution, because I feel like he's picking up the ball in kind of decent areas at times, but his touch is just letting him down so often. There was one moment where, you know, he picked the ball up on the edge of their area, and he kind of, you know, was in a really good position, 1-on-1 with his defender, and he kind of just takes this horrible touch where if he gets that touch right, he's probably in on goal. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, the old touch used to be so good.
Yeah, but also, and I think the execution's a problem, but I also think he's making bad decisions, waiting on the ball too long on these different things. And he's got to be, look, if he's not able to hang on to the ball as well as he could, he's got to be releasing it quicker, and he's got to be making a better decision. And as well, in and around the box, there are times he could pass and he tries to shoot, and vice versa. And I just feel like he's just not in a good space at the moment, Decky.
Yeah, and we need to get him there very quickly with this big game coming up on Thursday. Next up is Matisse Tel. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. I thought he looked like our biggest threat. Our best 2 chances of the game both came through him. Obviously, the first one with the assist. Obviously, you mentioned in the review he didn't mean it to get to Odabert. I didn't notice that during the game, so it was a nice pass for me and found Odabert in acres of space at the back post. The second one with a really nice pass to find Richarlison in behind, and Richie's got to be doing better from that moment in time. And I just felt like he was the only one that looked like any sort of threat in our forward line, so I gave him a 7.
Yeah, our brightest attacker for sure. I think he was the one who looked like if anything was going to happen, it was going to go through him, and he was looking threatening down that left-hand side. I do think they were struggling to contain him at times. But he'll be a bit disappointed with some of his execution of shots and passes, which he could have done a bit better with. And as well, once he moved up front, his game was pretty much over at that point. He didn't really do much for the final 20 minutes. So that was unfortunate. But I think once he was on the left wing, pretty decent.
Yeah. Odabert up next. 6s all round for Odabert. Obviously gets the goal. Really nice finish. But apart from that, I felt like we were just consistently going down the left. And Odabert was pretty much isolated and didn't see much of the ball on that right-hand side. So all he did was pretty much put the ball in the back of the net.
But I did feel like when he did get the ball, didn't do enough with it. But I guess he was few and far between. I didn't think he looked as threatening down that side as Tel did. And good luck, well-taken goal. Credit to him. And obviously that's his first Premier League goal for Tottenham. So fair play and nice finish. But he did lack a lot of threat down that right-hand side, I felt.
I know done more. Did he go off Odabert? No, he didn't go off.
No, he stayed on.
He stayed on, right? So he stayed on for 90 minutes. Tel stayed on for 90 minutes. Tel had 53 touches in the game. Odabert had 17.
Mm-hmm.
That just shows you, like, we just basically never went down that right-hand side. And Richarlison, last but not least, in the starting lineup, 5s all round for Richie. Yeah, like he put in a bit of an aggressive display. He had 2 West Ham defenders on him pretty much at all times, and he was just like battling with Todibo and Kilburn. The rare chances that he got on goal didn't cover himself in much glory. Yeah, I mean, the only thing he did do in a positive light was firstly show some good aggressivity in terms of battling with the 2 West Ham defenders, but it was a nice maybe step over for the goal that we scored. That's about all I can say.
I don't think it was a step over, just kind of didn't get played to him. But I think, look, he battled well with the defenders, and one thing he was good at is instead of being bullied, he was kind of winning fouls, which, is a positive, and it was making sure that we didn't give up possession, whereas I feel sometimes Solanke doesn't win the foul and he'll just get shoved off the ball, and at least Richarlison was winning the foul. The chance he had in the first half, he just drags it well wide. Should be doing better with that one. He had another shot. I think Tel pulled it back for him, and his shot on his left foot was a tough one, but it just went well over the bar. Wasn't a great effort. I think he had another one in the second half, which he blazed over as well from the edge of the box, which should have done probably a bit better with. So he did have a number of efforts, but can't really say, apart from maybe the one in the first half, none of them will expect him to score.
He had 2 shots on the day.
2 shots. So, yeah, it was. I guess they counted the one as a pass then, not a shot.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, I think he battled well. Put his all for the team, but unfortunately just wasn't great quality on the day.
Yeah, and the only change that we did make was Richarlison for Moore with 20 minutes to go, and Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. Definitely looked like a live wire down that left-hand side. Definitely got bums off seats in the stadium probably. And I thought this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see more off the left. We wanted to see him probably start the game, and he was exciting. Not going to lie, he was exciting, breezing past Paqueta at times, got past Souček, a real handful on the day without really too much quality at the end of them. And really nice link-up play with Spence. So it was really good to see Mikey.
Yeah, I think he did give us a bit of a spark when he came on. Especially his link-up with Spence was getting a lot of joy down that side with that link-up with Spence getting to the byline and getting good moments. I think he came on. It looked like a little bit of quality he added. He was, winning some fouls. He was playing some little good passes into midfield and with the fullback. So there was some good stuff there from Mikey. I think he was a bright spot. Still, would like to see more from him. But I think, considering the circumstances, it was a bright cameo.
Give me more. Give me more. And I really hope now, from now until the end of the season, these last 3 Premier League games that we see more of him.
Mm-hmm.
We have to. And last but not least, Ange Postecoglou. 5s all round for Ange. I mean, it's hard to really say much about Ange in this game because makes a host of changes. The game really doesn't mean much. The players played like it doesn't really mean much.
Any criticism for not making more subs?
Not really, to be honest, because I felt like with the players that we have on the bench, we just need to wrap them in cotton wool for the game on Thursday. So I was pretty much happy with not too many changes. I was happy to see Mikey Moore as well. My only real criticism is not seeing more of Moore, really. But look, it was a game that meant not much. It felt like that from in the studio. You said it felt like that from in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like that from the players playing on the pitch. And look, it was just a nothing game, and Ange didn't really get the players up for it either. So, I mean, what can you really say?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess regardless of the situation, it's his job to do that. And if he doesn't do that and they're not able to, then that's a criticism regardless of the fact it's understandable. That's still his job to do it, isn't it? So you can't do anything but mark him down for the fact that he couldn't get the team up for this game, and especially it being a bit of a derby. But we didn't lose, I guess, and I think the result was probably a fair result, so we didn't deserve to lose it either. But it was just a terrible game against a terrible opponent, one of the few teams in the league currently on worse form than us. So, yeah, I mean, what can we say? It wasn't a great game.
I guess the one other change I would have made is probably to see Ajayi, because Ajayi was on the bench for the first time since probably the Elfsborg game. And it would have been nice to see him, but yeah, that's about it, really.
Mm-hmm.
So that is our player ratings from the game against West Ham. And we have got a super chat from Andrew Din, and he says, unpopular opinion, no matter